Hello chess enthusiasts, my name is Miha and welcome to my chessrealm YouTube channel. So European Club Cup is over, lots of nice games were played there. Of course I cannot analyze them all. Let's go to the second round, duel between Andrey Esipenko and Marco Baldauf. Let's see what happened. Andrey Esipenko had white pieces and he started with e4, c5, knight to f3, e6. And we have this e6 or French variation of Sicilian defense. White plays d4, c captures on d4, knight recaptures, a6, now a3, preventing this any unpleasant bishop to b4. Black plays queen to c7 and now c4, targeting this b5 square, preparing this unpleasant b5 pawn push. Black plays knight to f6, targeting this pawn on e4. White plays knight to c3, defending, and now b6, preparing to fianchetto his dark square bishop. White plays f4, further supporting this e5 square, preparing e5 pawn push. So black immediately counterattacks with d6, preventing this e5 pawn push. And now bishop to d3, normal developing moves were played. Black plays g6, preparing to fianchetto his second bishop. Bishop goes to e3, bishop to g7, white castles king side, and black does the same. And now rook to c1, extraying queen on c7, black fianchettos his light square bishop, bishop goes to b7. And now b4, knight from b goes to d7, almost all pieces are developed. And now white plays knight goes to b3, so we have some redeployment of the pieces. Black plays rook from a goes to c8, releasing the tension here along the c file. And white continues with queen to e2. Black continues with queen to b8. I cannot get rid of the feeling that we have some sort of waiting moves. White plays a4 and now black plays bishop goes to a8. So what do we have? All pieces are developed. White has a slight space advantage, but black position is firm and solid. And let's see what happened later in the game. White plays king goes to h1. Another, let's say, waiting move, waiting for black to see what will happen. Well, of course, black cannot move with his pawns because, let's say, after e5 we have this f5 targeting this king side is quite unpleasant. And after, let's say, d5, simply c-pawn captures on d5, e-pawn recapture, we have e5 attacking the knight, and after knight removes we have double attack here on this pawn on a6, and this is very bad for black. And if, for example, black tries with a5, of course this a5 square is also double attack, and b5 square is also triple attack, so black cannot move with his pawns. Instead, black plays rook from f goes to e8. And white responds bishop to d2, waiting for the black's next move. Well, maybe black could try with knight to h5. Let's see, if knight goes to h5, then this long diagonal is free, and black is supporting this e5 square, preparing this e5 pawn push. Also threatening knight to g3 family fork here, so white cannot move his h-pawn. Let's say even if white would play something like king to g1, simply e5, and f5 doesn't work anymore because of knight to f4 attacking the queen, queen to d3. Let's say g-pawn captures on f5. If e-pawn recapture, we have bishop to g2 targeting this very weak square, so this is very good for black. In the game, black plays h5, supporting this g4 square, so white immediately reacts with h3, preventing any unpleasant knight to g4 jump. And now black plays rook to c7 with clear intention, rook from e to c8, supporting this c7 rook, taking over this semi-open c file, but white is on the move and plays e5, striking the center, let's say. Of course, attacking knight on f6 and pawn on d6. Maybe the best option still would be simply to retreat this knight on f6, because after, let's say, knight to h7, of course, white can capture pawn on d6, but after rook to c6, this pawn is going to be captured. Rook to e4 doesn't help, because after f5, black simply drives away this defender of pawn on d6, and black is totally okay. But in the game, black captures pawn on e5, and of course, f-pawn recaptures. Again, attacking knight on f6, and believe it or not, this is very bad for black, but black is not realizing it. Maybe still the best option would simply be to capture this pawn on e5, sacrificing his knight after knight to e5. Of course, queen can recapture, but knight goes to e4. Of course, knight is protected, this queen is under attack, and also bishop to d2 is under attack. After the only move, queen to f4, knight simply captures, queen recaptures, and rook to d7, let's say pinning this bishop on d3, threatening with queen to g3 further attacking. So after, let's say, queen to e3, simply queen bishop to h6, x-raying this queen and attacking the rook. Of course, queen would have to capture, and then rook would simply recapture, again threatening with queen to g3, attacking this very weak pawn on g2. So after the only move, queen to f4, trying to trade the queen. Of course, rook to h3, pawn cannot capture because it's pinned by the bishop. After, let's say, king to g1, now queen can capture, rook can capture, and after rook to g3, again attacking pawn on g2, rook defend, and let's say we have, what do we have? White has two pieces for bishop, but of course black has a very strong pawns here on the king side, preparing to advance at any time. So black would have, let's say, some sort of a counterplay here. Okay, let's go back to our game. So black didn't find this continuation. Of course, it's not the easy ones to see even for the grandmasters. In the game, knight goes to h7 was played. So black removes his knight, and now comes a spectacular move from white. Rook captures pawn on f7. Of course, f7 is the weakest square, and black simply removed the defender of pawn on g6, threatening to capture with bishop. So black more or less had no other option but to capture the rook. So king captures rook on f7, and now we have another stunning move. Bishop captures on g6 check. Well, black can either capture or maybe remove. Let's see, maybe still the best option would be if king would simply go to g8. Of course, queen captures on h5, threatening here with deadly attack on h7, and rook to f1, taking over the f file. So, of course, if knight from h goes to f8, bishop to f7, checkmate. After, of course, the better move would be knight from d goes to f7, defending this knight on h7. Of course, bishop captures rook on e8. Black is still a piece up, but white is totally dominating the game and definitely has the edge. Rook to f1, and later with knight to e4, targeting this pawn on e6. Of course, white is better here, but I cannot go back into any details as this is a very complicated situation. In the game, black captures bishop on g6, and now white continues with queen to d3 check. Of course, h6 and g5 squares are taken, as well as f6. So king has no other option but to go to f7, and now, of course, queen captures knight on h7. Black is only a rook up, but his king is in very bad position. You might wonder, hey, what about rook to h8, attacking the queen? Well, let's see. If rook goes to h8, we simply have rook to f1 check. After king goes to e8, queen captures bishop on g7, still attacking this rook on h8. The only place for the rook is rook to f8, where it's protected by the knight. So, of course, after queen to g6, king has to run away to d8, and after queen to g5, again, it's not advisable for king to go to e8, but king should go to c8, trying to cover here on the queen side, but then after rook captures on f8, knight recaptures, queen g8, pinning this knight. So here maybe king, of course, would have to go to g7. For an exchange, white has two pawns and a very, very strong attack. Cannot go to all the details, but let's say a c5 would be totally solid move. After, let's say, a b pawn captures, a knight captures check, and if, for example, king goes to b6, bishop to e3, preparing deadly discover attack here on the king. This is just one of the continuation, but in all others black is lost. But like I said, I cannot go through all the variations as there are many. So in the game, black plays knight captures pawn on e5. Of course, when this king is gone, this bishop on g7 is protected. So black immediately reacts with rook to f1 check. Now, if black wants to remove the king, the only square is e7. If king goes to e7, queen to g7 check, king could either go to d8 or d6. Well, let's see. If king goes to d6, the c5 is a deadly move with a check. If b pawn captures, b pawn recaptures, and here black could only sacrifice his rook, because if king goes to c8, then we have mate in 5. Knight to a5 check, king captures pawn on c5, queen to e5 check. Black, of course, can delay the mate with bishop to d5, but after knight to e4, of course, bishop cannot capture as it is pinned. So after king to b6, queen to d4 check, rook to c5 defended, and queen to c5 we have checkmate. So in the game, black decided to interfere on this f file. Maybe the best option simply would be knight to f3 or a bishop to f3. Well, black decided to play bishop to f3. And white responds with bishop to h6, threatening with queen to g7, checkmate in 1. So black plays rook to g8, defending this bishop on g7. Now white cannot simply play g pawn captures on f3 as it closes this f file, and with queen to f8 black would somehow solidify his position. So white attacks further. Knight to d4 was played, black puts his queen into the game, queen to f8, and now knight captures on f3. Of course, knight on e5 cannot capture, because after knight to f3 rook captures, and once this king is gone, white simply captures queen on f8. So in the game, black plays king to e8, removing this his king out of all possible pins. And white continues with the attack. Bishop to g5 was played, taking over this small diagonal, taking over the d8 and e7 squares. Now black finally captures this knight on f3, so knight goes to f3, rook recaptures, attacking queen of f8. Of course, queen has to protect this rook on g8, which is attacked by the queen. And so black defends the attack on the queen with rook to f7, and now white plays a very simple move. Queen goes to e4. Now let's see what black can do. If black plays a random move, let's say h4, we have mate in 3 on 2 ways, either queen to e6 or queen to c6. Queen to c6, let's say black can defend with rook to d7, queen to c8, rook to d8, queen to d8, checkmate. Of course, white could also play queen to e6 check, and let's say if a rook defends or queen doesn't matter, queen to e7, queen to c8, queen to d8, queen to d8, checkmate. And let's see what would happen if black would try to interfere on this small diagonal with bishop to f6, targeting this bishop on g5. Well, white simply plays queen to c6 check. Now there are more options. Black could play king to e7, d8, or maybe defend the check with rook. Well, let's see. If black plays rook to d7, then queen to e6 check. If black defends with queen, we have queen simply captures on g8. If, however, king goes to d8, rook to f6, attacking the queen. After queen to d8, let's say queen to b6 is a very deadly attack. King, let's say, go to c8, rook to c6, and we have mate in the next move. If, however, in this position, black would try king to d8, simply bishop captures on f6 check. Of course, rook has to capture, but then we have rook to d3 check. If king goes to e7, queen to d7, checkmate. Of course, black would try with queen to e6, but after rook to rook to d6, king to e7, queen to c7, and we have mate in the next move. But anyway, realizing that the position is hopeless, in this position, Marco Baldauf resigned the game. So I hope you liked this game, I hope you have learned something from it. If you have any questions, my email is below in the description. Of course, I invite you to visit my Instagram page. That's it for now, and see you soon.